Hare Krishna, we continue from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21, Text 12. Jata harsho patanmurthna shitau labda manoratha girbhistva abhyagranat priti swabhavatma kritanjalihi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When Kardama Muni actually realized the Supreme Personality of Godhead in person, he was greatly satisfied because his transcendental desire was fulfilled. He fell on the ground with his head bowed to offer obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Lord. His heart, naturally full of love of God, with folded hands, he satisfied the Lord with prayers. The realization of the personal form of the Lord is the highest perfectional stage of yoga. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where yoga practice is described, this realization of the personal form of the Lord is called the perfection of yoga. After practicing the sitting postures and other regulative principles of the system, one finally reaches the stage of samadhi, absorption in the Supreme. In the samadhi stage, one can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his partial form as Paramatma or as he is. Samadhi is described in authoritative yoga scriptures such as the Patanjali Sutras to be a transcendental pleasure. So the aim, the goal of Ashtanga Yoga, the perfection of Ashtanga Yoga is to see the Super Soul, the Paramatma in the heart. That is the goal. And it begins by the Yam Niyam, by following the rules and regulatives. They are Yam and Niyam, the what we shouldn't do and what we should do, then gradually control the senses, asana, the sitting place. So all that, but what's the aim of yoga is to realize the Super Soul. The yoga system described in the books of Patanjali is authoritative, and the modern so-called yogis who have manufactured their own ways, not consulting the authorities, are simply ludicrous. The Patanjali yoga system is called Ashtanga Yoga. So the yoga system, which is written by Patanjali, he is an authority in yoga. If somebody wants to achieve perfection by performing yoga, then they need to follow the Patanjali system. And the perfectionists, they'll be able to see the Super Soul. Sometimes impersonalists pollute the Patanjali yoga system because they are monists. Patanjali describes that the soul is transcendently pleased when he meets the Super Soul and sees him. If the existence of the Super Soul and the individual is admitted, then the impersonalist theory of monism is nullified. Therefore, some impersonalists and void philosophers twist the Patanjali system in their own way and pollute the whole yoga process. So Patanjali, who's an authority of yoga, he is saying, yes, you do yoga, Ashtanga yoga in this way, and you will see the Super Soul. You will see yourself as the soul, and you will see the Super Soul in the heart. But some people are...
We can't hear you.
Oh, really? Now, are you able to hear me now?
I can hear you,
Yeah,
Snehaji.
I can
Yeah,
hear
we
you.
can hear
You all
Snehaji.
can.
Yeah,
You
we
can
all
hear.
can hear. Yeah.
Yeah, now we can hear.
Oh, okay. So, but some people are, concocting their own way of yoga, which is not the authorized way of doing the yoga. And they are saying that the goal of doing this yoga or meditation is just nothing, to meditate on nothing. But that is a deviation. That is a deviation. That is not the real aim of yoga. Yoga means to always link to the Supreme. And the correct way is to following the Ashtanga yoga system is given by the authorities of yoga also. According to Patanjali, when one becomes free from all material desires, he attains his real transcendental situation, and realization of that stage is called spiritual power. In material activities, a person engages in the modes of material nature. So even Patanjali is saying that you free yourself from all your material desires, you will understand that you are the soul. So what is that spiritual power? Then we understand we are the soul, not only theoretically, but because there are no more material desires. So then you're situated on the platform of the soul. The aspirations of such people are: one, to be religious; two, to be economically enriched; three, to be able to gratify the senses. In material activities, a person engages in the modes of material nature. Yeah, so what are our few of our desires? We are in the modes of nature. And so whatever our activities, to be religious, to be economically enriched, to be able to gratify the senses, and at last to become one with the Supreme. So this is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma, religious; Artha, economically enriched; Kama, gratify the senses; and Moksha, to become one with the Supreme. According to the monist, when a yogi becomes one with the Supreme and loses his individual existence, he attains the highest stage called Kaivalya. But actually, the stage of realization of the personality of Godhead is Kaivalya. The oneness of understanding that the Supreme Lord is fully spiritual, and that in full spiritual realization, one can understand what he is, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Kaivalya, or in the language of Patanjali, realization of spiritual power. So what is this realization? The stage of realization of spiritual power, where one realizes that I am the supreme, I am Brahman, I have this spiritual power, I am this spiritual power, I am the soul, and there is a supreme soul. There is a supreme soul, and the supreme personality of Godhead. That is Kaivalya, not that I am the supreme soul. No, the perfection is to realize that, yes, I am the spiritual power. I am the spiritual power, but there is a Supreme Lord also. That is Kaivalya.
So what Patanjali is saying is not that.
Is correct.
It's correct?
Yeah, Patanjali is saying it's correct. He's the one who wrote the Yoga Sutras, and he is the one who's showing the correct way of doing Ashtanga Yoga. But there are people who are putting the impersonalist ideas in his yoga system of Patanjali. So Patanjali, he is saying that the aim of yoga, that you sit down in meditation, and then what is the aim of yoga? That you will see that I am the soul, and that there is a super soul, Paramatma, realize the Supreme Lord. But some people are changing his philosophy and saying that you do meditation, and then the goal of meditation is to either become zero, nothing, or to think that I am that supreme soul. But that is not correct. That is not Kaivalya. Kaivalya means we understand, yes, I am spiritual power. I am spiritual power, and there is a Supreme Lord also, who is a greater spiritual power than me. That is what Patanjali is saying. And that happens when one is freed from all material desires. Not that one still has material desires and can attain this stage. His proposal is that when one is freed from material desires and fixed in spiritual realization of the self and the super self, that is called Chit Shakti. Because after all, Ashtanga yoga, even Krishna advised Arjuna, you do Dhyan Yoga. Krishna told in the 6th chapter in Bhagavad Gita, you do Dhyan Yoga. The aim of the Dhyan Yoga is that you will realize that you are the soul and there is a super soul sitting next to you. But what happens is that in this age of Kali, it is not suitable for us. Arjuna said to Krishna, oh, my dear Krishna, I can't do it. I cannot control my mind. The mind is so swift, swifter than the wind. So 5,000 years ago itself, Arjuna rejected the yoga system as a suitable method for him for self-realization. And he was still in Dwapar Yuga, so he had much more mind control than us. But we are Kali Yuga people, So for us, the process of Ashtanga Yoga is not at all feasible, not at all practical. We won't be able to get achieve the result of yoga in this one life. And it's not even possible for us to do it because it begins with yam niyam, do's and don'ts, and then the asana, you have to go sit in the forest. And there itself, we are not able to do it. And then even if someone is able to go to the forest, then you need thousands of years to live to be able to sit in meditation to realize the Supreme Lord. That's the reason we are advised to take the bhakti process. In Kali Yuga, bhakti is the only way, chanting the holy names. Does that become more clear?
Yeah, but only that part, according to the monists, when a yogi becomes one with the Supreme, and uses his individual, that part I didn't understand.
So the monist, that is not coming from the Ashtanga Yoga part.
So that is nothing to do with Patanjali.
Yeah, nothing to do with Patanjali. Monists are, that's the school of thought that that is a more preliminary understanding, the impersonalist. So the impersonalist, when they try to enter into this yoga system without having a clear understanding of what the aim of yoga is, they think the aim of yoga is to become Supreme Lord himself. They're not able to understand.
And lose your individual existence.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. So you become one with the,
Yeah. Yeah. They're not able to understand that the real aim of yoga is that I am the soul and there is a super soul.
Okay.
So because the monists, they are actually coming from the path of knowledge, and their realization is only up to that I am the Supreme.
It's not to do with the Brahman realization.
Yes, Brahman realization.
It is.
Yes, it is. So then they come to the stage that I am Brahman, that I am that Brahman, I am that Brahman. But it's only when they try to enter into this yoga without understanding the real aim of yoga, that's where they get confused. Without understanding that, but yoga, the aim of yoga is to understand that I am not the Supreme. I am the spiritual power, yes, but there is a supreme spiritual power sitting next to me.
So that they don't take that to thing, right? That there is a higher power.
Yeah. Because the understanding is like how we have kindergarten, then we have high school, then we have PhD. So, but if a kindergarten child starts to, without studying all the other grades, immediately starts to jump to the 10th grade subject, he will totally not understand what it is all about. And he will think it's the same as the kindergarten. He will still think, it's all just ABC. That's all there is to understand in there. If you give a kindergarten student a textbook of the 10th grade, he will just see, what is written there is A, B, C, D. That's what is written because that's all he knows. Does that become easier?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's another one that's Shunya, void.
Shunyavadi, void. Voidism. Yeah. Voidism.
So that's again totally different.
Yeah, that is thinking that I'm going to, that I'm not this body, yes, and that once I give up the body, then I don't exist anymore.
Okay.
And that so that anyone after giving up their body, they don't exist anymore. It's like gone, that we are gone in thin air, like erased. That is voidism, that in the stage of perfection, there is nothing. That is voidism, shunyavadi. But if we understand it practically, that there can never be nothing, there is no stage called nothing. Absence of something, we call it nothing. And we are all souls. We all have these bodies. We can see that the bodies keep transforming. We see that. For example, we see people being born. We see people dying. We see people being born. If everything is nothing, where is this something coming from? So logically itself, it doesn't make sense. The voidism. If everything is nothing, then what is this? We are seeing so many things here. How can that be?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because if there's nothing there, how can something come out of the nothing? So the real understanding is there is variety in the spiritual world. There is variety. As we are seeing variety here, and this material world is just a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. As we see a reflection of the tree in the water, when we are on the banks of a river, we see the reflection. So we see in the water, we see the reflection of the tree, and on the land, we see the tree itself. That is, the reflection is there because the real tree is there. There cannot be a reflection without reality.
Correct. Yeah.
So super self and super self, that is called Chit Shakti. Chit Shakti. So what happens is Sat, Chit, Ananda, right? Sat, Chit, Ananda. So the impersonalists, their realization is only till the Sat feature. Sat, eternal, that I am the spiritual, I'm the soul. So that is Sat feature. And then with yoga, the true yoga process, Ashtanga yoga, the realization, the perfection comes to Sat and Chit. That not only eternal, but also knowledge. Sat and Chit. Chit is the knowledge potency. But what happens in full spiritual realization, there is a perception of spiritual happiness. And that happiness is described in Bhagavad Gita as the supreme happiness, which is beyond the material senses. So in the full realization of supreme, as we say, Brahmatmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaniti, Shabdayate, Vadanti Tat Tattva Vedas. Bhagavatam says that, yeah? Transcendentalists, they call Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan this non-dual substance because they're different features. So in the Brahman feature, the Sat Shakti is realized, eternal. Then in the Paramatma feature, Sat and Chit, eternal, and knowledge is realized. But the Ananda feature, happiness, bliss, joy, the spiritual joy, unending, that is happening. That is experienced in the Bhagwan feature. And that happiness is nothing to do with our material senses. Nothing to do with material senses, because we see when we are going out and trying to enjoy our material senses, we enjoy, of course we enjoy, that's why we keep doing it. But it does not touch our heart, does not fill our heart. But when we are hearing, when we are chanting, then we get that bliss, something touches our heart. That is, we are getting glimpses of spiritual happiness, just glimpses of it at our stage. And then the more we do it, we will realize more of it. So trance is described to be of two kinds, sampragyata and asampragyata, or mental speculation and self-realization. In samadhi or asampragyata, one can realize by his spiritual senses the spiritual form of the Lord. That is the ultimate goal of spiritual realization. So when one is able to see the Supreme Lord, when we are seeing the Supreme Lord, means the senses are spiritualized, because with the material senses, we cannot see the Lord. We cannot. So only when we are spiritualize the senses, we can see the spiritual form of the Lord. And that is the goal of spiritual realization. Samadhi, self-realization, nothing to do with the mind. There is no question of mental speculation. Why? Because you can see the Lord, not pretend to see the Lord, not imagine that I'm seeing the Lord, but you're actually seeing it. Because we do have spiritual senses. We just have to purify those senses. Right now, those senses are covered by these material eyes and ears. They are not our real senses. We have our real senses. We have to purify. And how can we purify our senses? Anyone? By hearing and chanting. The more we hear and chant, the more our senses are purified, our consciousness is purified. And then we will be able to see the Lord face to face, see the Supreme. And that is the goal. That is the goal. Love of God, love of God. Spiritual, to spiritualize our eyes, our ears, nose. Is that okay?
Yes. Yeah.
So because of time restraint, we'll stop here, because I'm not sure if you're late,
Yeah. Yeah. We'll stop.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining in today. Thank you for listening in. Sorry for the late beginning. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.